In 1 Thessalonians 5:19 through 22, we find some very important directions when it comes to prophecy. This is what we find. It says, do not quench the spirit. So the first thing we should do whenever we're around prophetic ministry or people that are prophesying is that we don't take a bunch of water or cynicism and say, nah, this can't be God. God doesn't do these things. Just dump a bunch of water on the fire. We don't want to be party poopers. But then he goes on and says, do not treat prophecies with contempt. We should not treat, when people are trying to learn and the ability to hear God's voice and speak His words, we should not treat them with contempt. But we should be open. We should listen. But it goes on and says, but test them all. Hold on to what is good. In other words, we don't have to completely eat or digest or take everything that someone says when they're speaking as if God is speaking. And this is important. As many times I say, have you ever eaten fish? If you've eaten fish before, then you know that you'll get bones in your mouth. And what do? You spit them out. Or you might get a word that someone's giving to you, and you know that part of it's maybe from God and part of it might just be from the self. And to understand this, I got this diagram from a book from Mike Bickle, which explains a little bit how this can work. When someone is just starting, when they're just beginning in the ministry of prophecy, a lot of what they're going to say is just going to be coming out of their own soul or their own heart. But as they're stepping out, parts of what they say will be coming from God. As they continue to develop in their intimacy with the Lord and the Bible study and fasting and seeking God and stepping out in prophetic ministry, they will mature. And the more that they mature, the more that there will be more of God's words that will be coming out of their mouth and less of just their own words. And then you get around strong prophets who may have years of experience prophesying, speaking God's words. You'll find that they have a strong prophetic gift, and that the most of what they say will be from God, and just a little bit of what they say will be their own words. And this is really important to realize, because in the Old Testament, if a prophet ever said anything that was not 100% from God, then he could be stoned or killed. But in the New Testament, we find a different example. For example, in 1 Corinthians, it says that, chapter 14, that 2 or 3 prophets or 2 or 3 people should prophesy, and everybody else should test and listen, so that they can hold on to what is good and whatever's not from God, and just their own soul or their own emotions or anything else that's not from God, we put it on the side. So what this does is this helps us identify, hey, this person is just beginning. Let's not quench the fire. Let's encourage them to continue to learn and grow. Let's also be responsible for the words that we get, that will test them, and that will go to God and say, God, what is from you? What is from just them? And this also enables people to be able to develop and to grow. The example I always give is, if my children, when they begin walking and they fall on the ground, I'm not going to kick them and say, you can't walk. Don't ever try to walk again. It's the same with people learning to prophesy, to speak words from God. We should not say, nah, that what you said was wrong, it was off, you should never try it again. No, we need to correct people, we need to encourage them and help them so that they can continue to grow, so that more of what they say comes from God and not just from themselves. One example is someone here in Amsterdam, that when this person began to prophesy, a lot of what she was saying was just like unfiltered, what she was feeling at that moment. And I had to say, hold on. You cannot just say anything that you feel or those things. What you have to say, it has to be in the filter of being strengthening, encouraging, and comforting. And as I was able to encourage this person and to correct her, she was able to grow. And not only was she able to grow, but now she's training and helping other people to grow, and so that they can continue to develop, because our goal is to see that everybody can grow in the ability to hear God's voice and to speak His words, and that we'll be able to see people develop, not just from just starting to hear God's voice, but that not just maturing, but that they can be strong prophetic vessels, men and women who hear God's voice clearly and clearly give messages that are from Him.